you're right. In the cave, it was like there was like 70 stormtroopers shooting straight ahead at a group of people, and they didn't hit anybody. Like I was like, what the hell is going
Yeah,
on?
we should have had a higher body count there.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna go with this. Remember in Rogue One, we found out that someone sabotaged so that they could destroy it. I think the gun manufacturers are sabotaging the sights, and all of them are shooting at angles, and they're like,
Wow.
"Why can't I hit anything?"
There is no NRA in the Galactic Empire.
Oh man,
Hey, Indigo made the beat.
All right, greetings everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Heroes Peak podcast. I am your host Chris, and we are here to talk about entertainment, culture, and whatever the hell we feel like. And today, we feel like talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Disney Plus series. With me today, the geeks of the geekiest of the pod, wherever my brain went with that. We're the number one geek champion of the Geek Quest. It's James. How you doing?
Hello there.
Man, you stole my
Had to do
line.
it. Had to do it.
I knew you were gonna use that
And
line.
and I believe he
I got
came.
one for you.
I
I
believe
got
he
one
came
for you.
in
Go ahead,
third.
Chris.
I believe you coming in third was Mike. How you
General Kenobi.
doing?
Well, the worst characters ever.
There's
No,
plenty to go
Grievous
around
was
in this
good.
series.
You guys remember the
Any animated
no, but
show,
not
he was
even.
good.
Remember
Not a live
before
action.
the animated show, they had the micro series, and
Microverse.
he was good
Yes.
in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking he's gonna be really good in the
I
freaking
know.
movies because of that.
He looked cool. Like Star Wars is the best series for you want something to look cool and not much else. Like bar none, top of the list. Just they find the best looks and then don't always find the best storylines. All right, so we're going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the 6 episode Disney Plus series, which just had its finale this week. I stayed up late to watch it last night. I don't, for some reason, I haven't been driven to watch it. It's not so bad that I have been excited to watch it, but there have been so many like top shelf good series. It just it hasn't been driving me, and it worries me. It really does worry me, and I'm gonna blame Boba Fett on that. So just let's get our baseline of what you guys thought as a whole of the series that you watched. Um, no details, no specifics. Just how did you feel? How did it compare to the other? This is our third series. Speaking of which, we got two seasons of Mandalorian and a season of Boba Fett. And now one season of Obi-Wan. So what did you guys think? Mike, I'm going to let you go first.
Overall, I really enjoyed this series. It's not to say it didn't have quite a few issues, but I'm satisfied with the way the season ended. Satisfied with the reuniting of Anakin and Obi-Wan. I was impressed with little Leia. Um, very impressed with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. So they
Yeah,
did
Peru.
justice to some of the characters for sure.
Gangsta.
Not so much some.
She went Ellen Ripley
Yeah,
for a minute.
and not so much some of the others, but overall with the story arc and everything, I think I was satisfied. So,
She was like Queen Latifah and Equalizer.
all right. So
All right, James. Overall feelings.
Yeah, I agree with Mike. Although a little bit of a dichotomy here, I really enjoyed it, except for I didn't really enjoy some of the early half of the series. So it's like a half C type of thing. But overall, I gotta say I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. What I was expecting to get, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm giving a lot of shit, but I did enjoy myself watching it, and I'm going to give like 75% of that credit to Ewan McGregor for carrying this thing. Uh, I don't know,
He's
like
like Steph Curry game 4 of the NBA Finals, man.
like Adrian Peterson on the Vikings. Like just carry that thing on your back. Just hand him the ball because man, that every scene he was in, every single scene, he did not give up, did not lay down. He was doing it. And overall, the production, the value, the story. I think I'll say this. I felt the story was a lot more cohesive. It had direction and it knew where it was going. Whether it hit all the notes it wanted to hit, that's a different story. But unlike Boba Fett, which felt like it had no clue what the hell was going on with that show, this felt like, okay, this is what we're going to do with this character. This is where he's going to go. And these are the themes we're going to hit. And it felt like it did all that.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah, I'm
think
going to
I think
say
the
it was a
difference
pretty good show.
there is Boba Fett was charting new territory, whereas with Obi
Yeah,
Wan,
I
we
agree.
know the path that he's eventually going to go on, leading up to A New Hope, right? So you're just kind of filling in
Mm-hmm.
blanks. But with Boba Fett after Episode 6, it's pretty much that's all new ground. You know what I mean? So they're
Which is weird.
yeah.
So like you would think, hey, as an artist, hey, what do you want? Do you want the thing where you have to tuck yourself in between this guy and find out what he did? Find something exciting to happen while he's sitting on a desert planet, or are you, hey, you've got wide open space. Whatever you want to do in this galaxy with this character, you do it.
Yeah, and
And
that's
somehow
why it was a little disappointing when with Boba Fett the the decision was we're gonna stay on Tatooine. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's literally happening like 2 miles away from where this
Right.
was
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah. Something I want to add on real quick before we get into the meat of your review. Going back to the fact that Ewan McGregor was Adrian Peterson or Steph Curry, like I said, it's funny because he had a period of movies from Revenge of the Sith up until this movie where I don't think he really like showed his true acting chops. Like there was Haywire with Gina Carrera. There was
This was fine, but Gina can't
Birds
act
of
so.
Prey where he I thought he played a terrible
Black
what's his
Mask.
name,
I love
Black
Birds of
Mask.
Prey.
I did not
He
like his
was
character in
he
Black
was at least a
Mask.
character. He was a big character, whether or
He
not
There's other
you liked him.
movies since
Yeah.
then that he I thought that he really kind of downgraded a bit in his acting chops since Revenge of the Sith.
Mm.
I'm being dead honest. And then to see him like carry this series again, it can't really blame it on the writing because there's different writing in episode 3 versus this show. I think he just fits this character really, really well, and it's like tailor made for him. Like everything he brings on screen, whether he's emoting through his eyes, whether he's the physical mannerisms, it's something about the character of a younger Obi Wan that I dare to say might be better than Alex, the great Sir Alec Guinness in that role.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in uh the prequel trilogy is that we all said Ewan McGregor is really holding this thing down. Like if 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 George Lucas could have kind of seen his way through the weeds of what he was trying to do, which and said, "Oh, if I focus on Obi-Wan and how good the Ewan McGregor is, I could make a great series of movies and go to the same places
Right.
and see the same things, but
Right.
focus on this great character." And I know it's supposed to be like the fall of Anakin, but it would have been interesting to go from that perspective. Interestingly, they started him in a place where he wouldn't even help a young Jedi in trouble. Like he was like, I don't know who you're talking about. It's not me, man. Go do your thing. What did you guys think of that start to the series? Was that good? Was that what you
Let me
expected?
start first,
Hmm.
because Mike had a
Yeah, go
chance to
ahead.
ask. So something that I didn't recognize until my second rewatch of the show this past weekend is this gave me a little bit of connection with Logan, the movie that came out where it's like like he's past his prime, but he's also disheartened with everything that's like he realized at one point he was a hero, right? He was part of the X-Men. I'm talking about Logan in this case, And then now, so many bad things has happened to the world and the X Men. He's just so over it. Like he's just like, you know, being a limo driver, and in similar fashion with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's character actually, you've seen him from Phantom Menace when he was a Jedi Knight. You've seen him become a Jedi Master. You've seen him become General Kenobi, and then you've seen the fall of the Jedi and the fall of the Republic. So now you fast forward 10 years, much like Logan, he's also this hard. He's taking like a sous chef job at some sushi restaurant in Tatooine. Like he doesn't want to get involved. He doesn't care about what's left of the Republic.
Yeah,
And
did you not expect him to say something to the dude who was stealing everybody's money? Like I was 100% waiting for that shit to happen.
I thought he might even want to get involved when the one lone Jedi, force sensitive
Hmm.
guy was being tracked by the Inquisitors, and even that was like, nah, I'm not going to really get involved in all that.
Hmm.
So on my second rewatch, I mentally started making connections to that movie Logan, which I also love pretty much. So that put me in a state of mind and saying, okay, let's see where this series takes this character who's going through possible PTSD from the end of Revenge of the Sith, lost his
Hmm.
best friend. This dude went through a lot of losses, and let's see how we get him to the point where we know in A New Hope he's gonna
Hmm.
be. So that was my starting point for this series.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our viewers should, if for our viewers who checked out our quick peek when we James and I talked about episode one. One thing we heavily discussed was the fact that we felt like Obi-Wan now has PTSD from the events of what happened with Anakin and the Jedi Order and the Republic, right? So we're basically dealing with a broken man, and it was nice to see the recovery through this season. Realizing I'm still needed. There's still work to be done. So slowly coming back from that was nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think breaking that expectation of what I thought he was going to be, a hero on the run, and actually making him just that dude that was like, you know what, I can't do that anymore. That's
God.
not my job. I'm out of here. I'm gonna do my thing, and I'm gonna hide. And I thought that was a great breaking of expectation. And of course, Ewan McGregor was carrying it, and I loved his interactions with Owen. Those early interactions in the market. Owen basically telling him, "No, get out of here. Like I hate Jedi."
The
That was
birth
all
of so many
great.
memes. Yeah.
Right. That was all great. I mean, a million
They
memes.
they
Great
found the
job,
right
Owen.
people
Um,
for Owen and Baru in this series. I'm telling you, it was good casting.
they
Yeah.
did. I was surprised because
And honestly, in the prequels, and not in the
And the
first,
second one,
I think
yeah,
in Attack of the Clones, and
mhm,
like we didn't really think these characters meant
right.
anything to the
they
canon
didn't.
of the.
Luke didn't even mourn their loss when they got fried. Like
He's like,
these
I want to
weren't
be a Jedi like my father before me, as his crispy uncle and crispy
right.
aunt is he's lying there.
Yeah, he cried more for old Ben here. Maybe it should have been Leia crying one after this. All right. So this brings us to the unfortunate weakest, in my opinion, part of this series, and that's the Inquisitors. The Inquisitors on this series, just I don't know what happened, if it was in the writing, in the directing, in a little combination of both. They just did not create or if they didn't want to combat with a Vader character who was going to show up and be a main protagonist. I don't know what their thought was, but it never felt like they let the Inquisitors be a real fear or real danger. Even when she cut off that guy's hand or that woman's hand in the market, like I was just like, what's going on here? Then the Inquisitors are all jabbering back and forth. They're not agreeing on anything, and I was like, okay, what am I supposed to expect here? Is she supposed to be the dangerous one, or is the head guy supposed to be the dangerous one? Um, but the Riva story about her actually wanting revenge on Anakin is an interesting idea of where she was and how she got there. There's a good character in there, but like I was thinking of Icarus from the Eternals in this
Mm.
one, where they held his he had this hidden storyline that he had actually killed one of the other Eternals. Remember that? And he like
Hmm.
turns into the antagonist at the very end, but you don't give a shit about it because he's an ass. He's a terrible character. Like you didn't care
Honestly,
about him
Chris,
whatsoever.
to me, because I read the Vader comics and I've read all the animated movies, I think first of all the Inquisitors were much more fearsome in the animated show. I think this movie did a disservice and took a step back from all the Inquisitors. Riva isn't even like the worst of it. The Grand Inquisitor was so more loathsome and fearsome and rebels. I think I think what should have done. This is my thought here is we've always heard it could be a possible Vader series, right? Much like Kenobi, on his rise from maybe from this point to where we see him in New Hope, right? That would have been a great storyline because we knew that he was never 100% in sync with the Inquisitors. The Inquisitors really served the Emperor as his other hands to hunt out Jedi, whereas Vader was supposed to be his right hand person. So it's more like competition. I think it would have been a better like if you had a separate season of just Vader and then you focus on the plot of actually one of the Inquisitors is like deep state, not deep state, deep undercover, for lack of a better word, infiltrating to get at Vader. That would have been a better story to see their process of becoming dark side users and Vader, and then the big M Night Shyamalan twist at the end. Vader knew all along, whatever. This about Kenobi was not the right storyline to introduce that.
Well,
You could have introduced him as a secondary character to show that they're hunting Jedi, but to make it such a crux of this narrative,
yeah, it's really the third leg of the story that that they're creating. That's a sort of offshoot of the Vader Kenobi. So it links. It's all there. I understand what they're trying to make with
and then
it.
they tied it in with Leia, which is another reason. I'm like, you had the bounty hunters getting Leia. Why are now the Inquisitors involved with Leia? Oh,
But
because
all
Kenobi's involved, and you got
but
to.
also like the Inquisitor, if the only thing you're going to show me about the Inquisitors is that they interrogating a 10-year-old and they can't quite break her, then you're not making a fearsome foe here. Like you're not giving me somebody I'm scared. You show me people in amber all you want, but you're not making this person scary or intimidating or and you're not letting the actress emote through five 4 episodes like and then you finally give her something at the last minute. Like that doesn't do it. That's not enough. So,
Yeah, I found that
my
the other Inquisitors were seem more menacing than Riva or the Grand Inquisitor. Did you see that too? Like when they were barking orders, when
mm,
they were all at the headquarters, and he was like, "I should be in charge." He seemed more menacing than all of them. So
yeah, that was the weird part. Like, are they? What's the attitude of the Inquisitors, and how are they structurally? They seem to be all at like the second one was mad at the third one, and she was disobeying the first one. Like, is that normal? Like, is that what they do? They just bicker and
Well, I
argue,
mean,
and
yes and no. Yes, it's normal because remember the dark side, the Darth of the dark side, the Sith. It's always been a rule of two, right? A
mm.
master to hold the
Yeah. Then
power, an
how are they have
apprentice
these three dark side users? Like, it's
because
weird.
they're not considered to be Sith. They're actually other dark side users that Emperor Palpatine, who's not stupid. He knows at any given moment Vader himself could betray him with an apprentice of his own because Vader did actually have an apprentice, Star Killer.
Hmm.
So he has all of these different versions. He has the Inquisitors, he has Dark Hands, he has Night Sisters. Um, it's a lot more to it. But the point is,
Mm.
yes, it's normal for them to have infighting because Palpatine is actually orchestrating all of this, right? No
Hmm.
one person can hold like the not even Vader can be like the most powerful group out of all these folks because eventually he fears he'll be taken down. But the way that the movie showed it, unlike the animated show, it just seemed like they were just not even a cohesive team,
yeah,
like a
Right.
tactical team. That's like you can show infighting when they're not at battle or wartime or hunting, but the fact that they were in middle of combat and they were still arguing, that looked
And
like
like the one guy, like she's walking away down the alleyway, and he like pushes her up against the wall, and he's like, "What are you doing?" You're like, okay, like if you're gonna do this, then you have to give me something about this. If they're gonna be this integral to the story, and you're gonna give them this much time, I need a little bit more out them what they're about. So then let's get into this one. So we get a young Princess Leia, played by. Oh, by the way, Moses Ingram plays Riva, the Inquisitor who we've been talking about.
I'm
I
sure she's a
went over.
phenomenal actress outside
What
of this
I
one
what
thought
else has
she.
series.
she
Or
been in? I don't remember from anything else. Offhand.
I've never
I
Don't
seen
thought.
her
no,
before.
don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
I
I
don't
can
know.
look it up later. I'm just
Yeah, I thought she did
yeah.
good in the last
yeah,
episode. Like the last episode, the second to last episode, they started giving her some things
right.
to do. But you need to build that. You can't just stick it in the last episode and expect it to care.
Hmm.
Anyway, so Vivian Blair plays young Leia Organa, our 10-year-old, and we got Jimmy Smits back as
Keep getting
Bail
those
Organa.
paychecks, Jimmy. Keep getting those paychecks.
That's right.
I think he
Uh,
even does voiceovers for the both the animated and the video games. This
Yo, but
dude.
my
that's
man
right.
Senator Organa let me down though, sending unencrypted transmission about the location of Anakin's
Right.
kids.
Yes.
Come on, man. That's
Not
Come
par
on,
for
a
the
spoiling
course
military
in Star
commander is
Wars,
supposed to
man.
know better.
That's par for the course. Like nobody recognized
Yeah,
Kenobi. Like he didn't change much. He had a couple grays. This dude was a general. That's like saying Schwarzkopf 10 years is out of. Oh, nobody recognized. You know, come on, man.
Nobody remembers the name Skywalker on his home planet too.
General McChrystal.
So anyway, so this caused a lot of uh, contention online when the show first aired, and that was young Leia being a bit, uh, I see, almost overly smart for a 10-year-old, and
precocious.
we
She
get
was
this.
precocious.
Writers writers love to
Perfect
put
word. Good one. Give that
writers
man a
love to
star.
put adult language into kids and call them precocious. Writers
Yeah,
love doing this. They do it all the time. It's just a favorite
right.
pastime. But you know, there was some silliness to it, but I thought as the young actress did a fine job, and as the series went on, I thought they did a pretty decent job with the character. Though I again the interrogation thing was a bit silly, um, overly silly, but I liked like them on the planet when they crash landed or when he first saves her, you know, and they get in that truck with the MAGA the MAGA
The
alien.
mega alien. Another meme.
So like I thought they did some good stuff with that, and the dialogue between her and Obi-Wan really helped flesh out that character, Obi-Wan's character, even more. Especially the conversation about his family and what he remembers or doesn't remember about his family, his feelings about Anakin, and all of that stuff. They did some good job with that pairing there. What do you guys think of young Leia and the pairings?
Yeah, I thought she was great. I
James,
mentioned
go.
this on the
Oh, Mike, go ahead.
quick peek we did that, and James disagreed with me. I thought the actress was doing a great job. I don't know if she grew on you later, James, but I still think she did a phenomenal job. As for a little kid, we've seen some bad child acting. Like I'm not gonna. I don't want to go in.
Yes.
I can go into Multiverse of Madness and mention Ice Cream Song and you know, but
Yeah, not everybody can be
right.
Elizabeth Keene.
But I thought she did a great job, and we didn't.
Who was the actor in that Fire movie that we saw with Angelina Jolie? That kid
Oh,
actor.
the those who wish
Oh
me
yeah,
dead.
that kid was
Yeah,
nailing it. Yeah.
Remember how I also didn't like that actor?
you
Yes.
I
didn't like
think
him?
listen, she grew on me. No,
Oh,
I didn't like her. She grew on me. I think the last two episodes when she actually had like a little bit like her and a little robot, and she had a little duty, put her little gloves on. I just thought that they just came too hard with the whole Leia is like destined for greatness thing.
Yeah,
Like she's
yeah.
basically a microverse version of Princess Leia as we know her from A
right.
New Hope. I'm
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
like you're not really showing me any character development as actress. Like
Hmm.
I mean, in the character I should say, not the actress. Like she's always predestined to be Leia. And in fact, some scenes you kind of allude to the fact that she might be already force sensitive when she can tune into other people's emotions. There's a
I
couple of
don't mind that
scenes.
though.
Nah,
That's an interesting tone to take with a character who is kind of who could have that.
that's a dangerous tone when you know there's a galaxy of inquisitors and other dark side users doing specifically that, finding people who are force sensitive. And she happens to be in the Senate. She's like public. She's like a YouTube influencer with like 2 million followers. She's not like living in Buffalo, New York, under the radar. She's like in Pasadena or Calabasas, freaking California. So that's why I'm like thinking that was too much. That was
Yeah.
too
So
much.
if
Um,
we compare it to Luke, honestly, Luke was an idiot all the way up to Return of the Jedi, and then
Basically.
he became who he was supposed to be,
and it's
right?
believable. It's very
Like
believable. Yeah, we watching
look at
the
New Hope. He
series.
was like a moron, right?
Even when he was running away when the Inquisitors was coming through, he looked
Yeah,
like he was like, "Oh my god, this dude's gonna hit
yeah,
his head on
exactly.
something. He's clumsy. Oh my
So
god."
I have a feeling he didn't get enough water on Tatooine, and until he left, and then he finally got water.
Or
Yeah,
there's lead in the pipes, man. There's lead in the pipes.
but he evolved. I see what you're saying here. Like they are starting her like as this great character, yeah,
All the
this
way.
great person already.
That she's
But what
ready
does
to
she
go.
know?
She's
She
ready to
doesn't
start the
know
rebellion.
anything. So how could she be? Yeah,
Yeah,
but then we get into the.
like it's
But you can
intrinsic,
compare that to Ray in the sequel trilogy.
which I
Yeah, I
also
didn't
didn't
like
like.
either.
But
But
What?
yeah,
Ray's like 20.
but Ray
Like
didn't know
Ray's
shit either. She
20.
grew up on another
Leia's
desert
10.
planet as
Yes, by
as a
herself.
scavenger. You know, I don't know. It's
So yeah, I agree that they started the character off as know it all. I don't mind her being preternaturally aware of people's feelings and how to kind of nag at how to
mm-hmm.
nail them. Like that's enough of a character point to say
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
this is like when she knows, hey, you're a little short to be a stormtrooper. Like that shit is maybe it hits Luke harder than we think it does just because she's good at that. You know. But I think they just made her too much of that precocious kid that just happens to talk like she's 24 even though she's 10. I understand you want her to be smart and everything, and like I said, in some parts they brought her back down to being a scared kid and she's in over her head. But then like when she's doing a Reva's trying to get into her mind and she's like fighting back and I'm like, okay, come on.
so
Can we not make this?
yeah. So, but there's a couple
Mhm.
things I'm going to add though. It's when we talk about the twins, we're going to do nature versus nurture because I had mentioned before she was raised basically as a princess with education and means and you know.
Yeah, but I would like
Yeah,
her
but
to
you've seen her
be.
cousins. Time out. You've seen her cousins. I think episode
Mm-hmm.
two. I think it was episode
Mhm,
two.
mhm.
Like the rest of her cousins don't act. None of them act that same way, and they're all rich, and they all from the same
Yeah,
family,
I
royal
would have liked
family.
it if she had a little bit more of a selfishness to like a princess selfishness streak to her
Like
that
like what's her name from
like
Spaceballs?
Spaceballs. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Just a
like
little
Yeah,
bit, something for her
I
to
don't.
overcome as she gets older.
I don't mind her being a tomboy as a young female. I just didn't like the fact that she was ready to roll and start the rebellion. It felt like she was ready to
yeah.
start the Rebel Alliance.
Right, yeah,
Like,
exactly. I agree with that.
Mm,
So that between that and the Inquisitors, that's really where it wasn't a tight series.
yeah.
I think most of the other stuff that we're going to talk about felt pretty solid. So if we get into the Resistance now, so we
mm,
meet. I don't have the character's name down. I don't know what the.
Ice Cube's son and the woman that
No,
played in
that's Ice Cube's son. Get out of here.
that's O'Shea
Is it?
Jackson
That's
Jr.
right. Yeah. I can't.
Dude,
I
we
keep
Yeah,
gotta talk
forgetting
well,
how.
offline, man. We gotta talk
No, I
offline.
know, but I keep thinking like he's still like a young kid, right? So.
okay. So he played Roken,
Mm-hmm.
and then Indira Verma played Tala. Tala
Tala, I forgot her name.
the
Tala.
leader, th- not the leader, but
She was a former emperor that became
Right.
part
yeah,
of the rebel,
she's the one who
the
infiltrated,
resistance.
saved Kenobi from the planet and whatnot, and eventually sacrifices herself and kind of gives Leia a person to look up to in the Resistance, and I like that. I thought that was a cool little hey, and that's where if you had given Leia more of a princessy attitude, and then she sees this woman who is sacrificing and helping and that, and maybe changes Leia's attitude a bit, that would have been a more interesting hook for the princess for the Leia character. But let's get into the Resistance. What did you
That's
guys
a
think
good
of
point.
it?
That's a very good point. That's a very good
Hmm.
point.
I
I thought the
thought Tala was a
resistance.
good character.
I was trying to connect this resistance group with what I know to be in Rebels until I had to remember that Rebels takes
After,
place
yeah.
approximately 6 years from this
Right.
moment.
Yeah, this is more of an
Um,
underground railroad uh
yeah,
it,
for the
kind of thing.
force sensitive folks, I get that. I definitely like O'Shea Jackson's character, keep broken.
Roken.
I like his character. I like the fact that episode 3, I think it was, you lose a resistance fighter already. It happens so quick. They're helping Obi-Wan and Tala and Leia escape, and then it's like two fighter pilots, and they're all talking to
Yeah.
each other, and they do like the movie trope thing where like, "I'll see you in a second," and he gets
Right on.
killed.
Yeah.
So
I
I
think
thought that
that
was a
was
nice
episode
touch.
4. I think it was
Yeah,
episode
episode
4.
4. I think it was
But
a
all
nice touch
mhm.
to have those guys. And another thing I wanted to mention that I don't know if it's in your agenda, droids.
Oh,
Say
yeah.
what you say about the Disney version of Star Wars. One of the pluses I think that I like is we've had some great droid characters, some
Mhm.
K2SO and Rogue One. The droid in this show, he doesn't get a lot of acting time, but from the moment you first meet him, and then he's got that hammer behind his head, like he's ready to go in
Right.
action. And then this
Yeah.
sacrifice in this episode, obviously, the little ball from freaking Force
BB-8.
Awakens, BB-8, forgot
BB-8.
his name. Like I like the way a lot of these droids are being written into these shows, and he's a member of the Resistance. So when you say Resistance, I got to include that droid in the Resistance as well. I think
Uh,
they did a pretty good job. I think each of those characters, I felt like I cared of, even when they were in a little ship escaping in a
mhm.
finale, or when they're in a little cave, they're trying to figure out what to do. I kind of felt for these characters.
Yeah, and they put all that stuff on the wall to kind of give also that idea of time and more people that you're not seeing in a larger world and larger effect, and they did a good job of that, connecting that the rest of the
Yeah,
Yeah,
world.
I'm just gonna add that
Also,
it was a good
mhm,
use of characters to help bring Obi Wan out of that shell. You know what I mean?
mhm.
That push that he needed.
mm.
That it wasn't just about him. That there was something beyond that, right? So
And it wasn't even
yeah.
just about Luke and
right,
Leia. It wasn't even just about Luke and
exactly.
Leia.
No, when he walked into that cave and you saw like the Jedi sigil, and like you saw all the other like the symbols on the wall, I think something in there clicked in his head. He was like, "There's something happening here
Hmm.
that gives a hope to the galaxy." And although
Hmm.
I've been in my own little shell, like you said, Chris, it's bigger than me. Like it's some there's other people that are, and they looked at him like, we got to protect you. You're one of the Jedi's, and he's like, "Oh, it's not about me. It's about you guys." That's when I think the writing started to get a little bit like, okay, I can see where we're going here.
And again, making that character, he's before he went into hiding, everything he did was the opposite. He was the protector. He was the overseer. He was trying to save civilians. Now he's in on the other foot. He's in hiding. He's trying to escape. Even though he's trying to protect Leia, it's still that same. He's now being protected, being helped, and it was a cool juxtaposition to what we have seen previous in other Star Wars. And on your droid note, I thought the design of Leia's little droid was awesome.
Yeah, I
I
did
would have
too.
loved
Yeah,
as a
Yes,
kid to have one of those
yes,
little things like that.
yeah.
yeah.
That thing was
I'm
Official
crazy.
sure the toys is gonna be
official
yeah.
designation L01A or something like that. which I thought was cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your
Yeah.
droid designs, great,
Mhm.
great droid designs. So now we'll talk about our
Hey,
first
before we do that,
view of
can we
Vader.
should take a quick break
Yeah,
and then come back
you
for
want to take a
B-Block? Yeah.
5 minute? Yeah, yeah. Let me go
Pay
get a
some
Yep.
drink,
bills.
and when we be back.
All right.
Hey, everybody, we are back talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi over on Disney Plus, directed by Deborah Chow from The Mandalorian. Season 2, I think she directed some great episodes. We were really excited by this. And for the most part, I think production-wise, it looked good. Though, unfortunately, I think she's going to, for me, take some of the blame for the lack of the Inquisitors being really interesting. But she wasn't a part of the writing. There were, from what I counted, 5 separate writers on this, and so it's really hard to peg down some of these. Are they story point problems? Are they producing
Direction.
problems? Are they we're not willing to go there and Star Wars problems? I don't know anymore. It's really hard to say.
Look,
But
if you tell me Chris Terrio
one
was
thing
one of
that
the
did work,
writers, then all is forgiven.
then it wasn't her.
Right.
It was definitely him.
I'd be like, why is this guy still getting work in Hollywood? That'd be my
Uh,
response.
no, but one thing that did work, and she gets the credit for things that did work, is Hayden Christensen coming in as Vader, including we also got James Earl Jones' voice, which was
I
good.
love that
So
so much, by the way. That was so good.
so let's start with our first appearance here, outside of the staring longingly at windows that he did quite a bit of. And that is going to be when we're in the town and Obi-Wan and Leia are trying to be shuttled off down the hallway, and Vader shows up and he just starts pulling people out of their fucking doorways, out windows, dragging them down the street for no reason. Like, I was like, what are they doing with it? Like, what did you guys think of, just before we get to the actual fight? What did you guys think of this? Okay, this is the brutal Rogue One Vader we are seeing now.
Oh,
I loved
exactly,
it, dude.
exactly right. This is Anakin has turned, and he's not holding back. Right? I mean, he wasn't holding back at the end of
Mm-hmm.
Revenge of the Sith when he was killing kids. So, but you know,
Younglings.
so this really isn't anything for him either. But it was good to see. It was great hearing James Earl Jones's voice. I know they had to do some magic stuff to because he's getting old, right? So it's not what he used to be, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and great to see because you could still see when Vader's walking through the town, you could see Anakin's walk. I don't know if you guys know, like he's got that style.
Well, wasn't it Was
Yeah, he
Hayden
was
in
in
the
the
suit
suit.
the whole
Yeah,
time?
that's
Yes.
him.
Yes, he was.
So
Yep.
you could see
Yep.
that.
It's a
That's him.
definite visual difference to the way the body, where the way he uses his
Well, the
body.
original actor is no longer
Right.
alive,
Yeah.
so they couldn't get.
Well, I didn't know if they had stuck somebody. I know David Prowse isn't around, but I mean, I don't know if size wise. I honestly don't know how big Hayden Christensen is
He's
in
not as tall
comparison to
as
everybody
David
else.
Prowse, but
But they can do a lot. They can stick lifts and shit
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
angles.
I just love how his intros is predated with the fact that Obi-Wan senses something in the Force.
Oh, the look on his face was
And look
great.
at his face, and then you're like, "What's the problem?" And then it hits you, shit, Vader. I'm like, "Oh, they going there. They're going there." And then to your point earlier, when he just starts pulling bodies, some cases he's just twisting necks. Like he pauses and waits to see if that's working, and it doesn't work, and he still kills that person. That was
Oh
dope.
yeah.
Because before that, all we saw was the Grand Inquisitor with the spinning saber threatening to kill Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and
Oh
then
yeah,
and
Flea.
I'm like, that's not scary. Oh, and then Vader comes through like, oh shit, this is intimidating. Love the intro, man. That's dope.
Yeah, I'm wondering if, hey, this is what Vader is. We can't step on those toes with the Inquisitors, and it caused some issues with those characters. But
I think
whatever.
I
We're
think they
talking about
should
Vader
have.
right
They
now,
should have. I think made the
and
Inquisitors.
let Vader
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
the level. Right.
Mhm.
So when we get the actual Vader Obi-Wan, I was surprised it was we were going to get one this early. And what did you guys think of this angry, bitter Anakin dragging him and playing with him and just beating on him and tossing shit at him? Like, what did you guys think of this fight? It
Let me
wasn't
tell
even
you,
a fight. It was like a beat down.
real quick. I loved it first of all because again, it canonizes the fact that Vader at this point was near the peak of his powers in the suit. But also, I thought this would have helped explain the rapid aging of Obi-Wan from Revenge of the Sith to New Hope. I thought, oh, this is how they're going to show why Obi-Wan aged like 30 years because he went through like the crucible. That's what I was thinking. No lie. Clearly, that's not the reason why.
It's
But I
the
mean, I
sun,
thought it was
man.
shocking.
Look at this
It's
skin. This does
shocking.
not work well in the sun.
Tatooine sun. Tatooine sun. But in the same token, on the flip side, I was not happy with how he's able to exit. What's your name? Tyler shoots through the fire, and like the 20 stormtroopers that were there watching were like, "Where'd he go? I don't know. Look over the." I didn't like
Yeah.
that. I'm like,
There's
"Oh, here we
look.
go."
Every series has had 20 stormtroopers standing there being fucking useless.
By the
I
way,
can't.
I know we're not gonna talk about the stormtroopers, but in episode 4, when they're in that underwater HQ, if you watch carefully, not a single shot was landed by any of the
In that
stormtroopers.
narrow,
Oh no, not a
But
single one. I
all the
agree.
good guys were
in the
hitting their
narrow
shots,
hallway, you
and I'm
mean,
like,
or the
at this point, yeah, I
Anywhere.
think it's like meta at this point. They do it on
same thing in the
purpose.
cave, right?
Like it's
Same
not
thing in the
even.
caves when they, yeah.
Yes, these guys were missing far left, far right, like freaking Boston Celtics in the
I was
finals,
wondering
man.
that because you're right. In the cave, it was like there was like 70 stormtroopers shooting straight ahead at a group of people, and they didn't hit anybody. Like I was like, what the hell is going
Yeah,
on?
we should have had a higher body count there.
Yeah,
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna go with this. Remember in Rogue One, we found out that someone sabotaged so that they could destroy it. I think the gun manufacturers are sabotaging the sites, and all of them are shooting at angles, and they're like,
wow.
"Why can't I hit anything?"
There is no NRA in the Galactic Empire.
Oh man, someone's sabotaging the sights on the blasters, and that's why the Resistance was able to win. There's a hero out there we just haven't met.
So yeah, love Vader's entrance,
Yeah,
man.
same.
Dope.
Okay, so Vader, we liked Vader. We liked the way they were working with him, but of course you can't end it after 3 episodes, and he gets away, and we have to um, rework it. So now we get the Leia kidnapping and the interrogation and the rescue, and that's what you were just talking about, James. This, managed to get in. I thought it was okay, but then I think there's a weird limitation to the staging because they're like, okay, how do we get them out of the place? Well, just stick a trench coat on them and throw the girl under the trench coat.
That was hilarious.
I'm like, okay, I
Like they
understand you
actually
want to be,
wrote that, shot it, and edited it.
and it's not like you're in a room with like, hey, there's a guard over there talking to another guard and another one over there who's kind of occupied. No, there's like 75 people in the room, and, and he's walking around like this with a little hat on.
He almost makes it too if it wasn't for Reva.
Hmm.
So I don't know. And that's after they blow up that hallway with the water, and then like everybody's still hanging out in the docking area. I don't
No,
know.
but
It was
you hear the horns though, right? The typical Star
yeah,
Wars
but
horns.
nobody was doing anything different than when they entered. It was a
It's
bit
like
weird.
it's like the fire alarm in your commercial building. Like you're
Yeah.
like, do we have to
Again.
exit? Nah.
Sorry.
It's probably false alarm. It's probably just a microwave, not water flooding our C2 level.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the Reva backstory? Whether or not you thought it was well integrated into the story or not. What did you think of saying, "Oh, there was a kid saw Anakin, that's why she knew who he was and blah blah blah. She wanted to get revenge." What did you guys think of that whole idea?
Terrible. I thought that was terrible. This is probably one of the weakest parts in the entire of the Riva. Unfortunately, she's stuck right in the middle of it. No fault of the actress, but like we know Anakin's story and falling to the dark side and killing younglings. We know all that. To show it on screen in light of recent tragedies, uh, I didn't think it really moved the story. It didn't move the plot. And then in hindsight, once you know the twist, it's like so she knew Anakin was Vader, and she knew Anakin killed all of her friends. So her one plan was to eventually infiltrate and become an Inquisitor and capture and kill other Jedi, and not stop until she gets to the point where it's a not even a youngling, another young force. How many other young force sensitives were killed under her watch? Like to me, that made absolutely no sense, and that's the part that I dislike the most about this series. This backstory and the visuals that they gave us to reinforce in our heads later on, as she sees Luke, they replayed the scene again, so we remembered what happened in beginning of episode 5, near the end of episode 6, and I'm like, that is amateur writing at its best. That's Chris
Yeah, it
Terrio
was
level.
was poorly thought out. I think the whole thing. Um, I could have done without it. If you're gonna do it better. Like I, a lot of it just didn't make sense, right? The way it was planned out. So I don't know, like how she ended up
Yeah,
as an inquisitor, and
if you're gonna give this kind of complex backstory to her, you've got to give it some room and actually like get people that are watching to understand it. Yes, we
You know what?
understand what revenge is, but outside of the revenge part, all the shit she had to do to get there doesn't line up at all with what her revenge is
yeah,
for,
You
right?
know, a sick idea just popped in my head that would have probably been maybe Disney would have been like a little too far. Is show her the fact that she pretended to be that she escaped, and in a moment where the stormtroopers are catching her, she rats out another youngling to save herself, and then because of that guilt, because the stormtroopers like, "Thank you, you've done a great job, young one."
Mm-hmm.
Then you at least build that to be like, okay, she knew that what she did was wrong. She was selfish, but she has a long game, a long con, as opposed to what we saw, which was just like utter violence for no reason.
She and Obi-Wan have the thing back and forth, whatever. Obi-Wan convinces her that now's her time to take her revenge, and she decides to take it. Let's talk about the actual fight because Vader's force foo here is something I've wanted to see for a while, something that I find really interesting, and I want to see more of it in different finding styles in the
Did we see it in
universe.
one of the animated Star Wars shows? I feel like we did see it. I mean, obviously not live action, but one of the animated Star Wars
was it when
that came out
Ahsoka was
last
fighting
year.
him?
I can't. No, 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 not the animated show. The Star Wars
The
animated, the
Visions,
7 part or
the
six
Vision.
The anime,
Visions,
the
Star Wars Visions. Yeah,
Visions.
I
Okay.
feel like there was a character that was fighting like that I thought was very one of the better episodes. But I digress. I just brought that up because what I was thinking, the Force Food definitely was, my second favorite fight watching it because I didn't think it was, I was like, wow, like he's showing a level of mastery that clearly separates the Inquisitors from Vader, which is great to
Mm-hmm.
see. Again, peak powers. But what I thought about getting on my second rewatch is the Riva character. If we're really going to try to make us believe that she's on his long con. It would have been better for her to wait after Obi-Wan's second fight with Vader. And when Vader thinks that he's like, he's getting help to get back to the back to tank, for her to strike and obviously still lose. But that would have been a much better storyline because that would be a twist that we didn't see
Yeah,
coming at that point. And neither would have Vader, but Vader would still prevail, as opposed to this fight where clearly he's standing there and he could sense you coming up behind him like, what are you doing? Like it made no sense. Like he's at his 100% powers, standing there. I mean, the ship's already gone, so it's not like he's
Right.
distracted.
Yeah, if she attacked him while he was grabbing the ship, and that's how they got away, because she attacked him instead of him
Attacked
pulling
him.
it all the way down.
Like
Number one,
that makes even better sense. What you just said.
right? He's distracted. Hey, this is what's gonna happen. He's gonna come in. He's gonna try to stop the ship. You strike. He's just because he's using all his force powers. And I hated, and I hate this. I hated this in the sequels too. I don't like dropping an entire starship with the force. I think it's an OP move that they
You
suddenly
blame
decided.
blame the video games for that. The
I
video
know
game started that shit.
it's throw rocks. I get it. I understand lifting the thing out of the swamp.
But that's an X-wing. That's
That's
a
fine.
fighter is different than than a
Well,
Right.
yeah.
transport. Yeah.
Actually, don't blame the video games. Blame the non-canon books
Right.
that we could
But
pull.
a
Yeah,
fully thrusted starship should not be
Yeah,
within
but
range.
Chris, size
Sorry.
matters not.
That's right. That's right. So
that is true.
anyway, yeah,
Good one.
Riva was stupid. She waited till Obi-Wan had left and everybody left and he was annoyed and pissed off and now he's looking to kill somebody. And again, stop stabbing people if you're not going to kill them, please.
By the way, speaking of that, I love the fact that clearly you could tell that he was toying with her because he could have killed her many different times, and when from the moment that he took her saber from her hand,
Oh, the
he
double sider. I was like,
separated.
oh, I thought he was going to.
Which we know from like canon now in some books that the double sided blade are made of two different kyber
Hmm.
crystals that you could join together. So he separates it. He didn't never wielded
Nope.
his own saber. It's her saber. Tossed her back one and goes, let's shoot the fair
Right.
one. And then she's like, okay, like she doesn't quit. Like she's in it all the way now at this point, right?
Give her
And
that.
at a moment it looks like she disarms him, but it's a ruse because he's able to take back her weapon and then force pull the other saber and be like, all right, playtime's over. And then they give us another whack flashback of her being a young woman. And I'm like, why? Just kill her.
It was a great display for Vader. She did a serviceable job as a force user to fight against and get her ass kicked. But it was a great display for Vader power and great use of the. I'll tell you, one thing I would love to see, and I'm gonna geek out for a second here, is something I've always wanted to see is a force user that does not is not a Jedi, doesn't prescribe to the Jedi, doesn't use a saber, and only works with the Force. And this kind of scratched that itch there. That this
Yeah, you got to read the old books for those, dude.
I mean,
so.
it was a
Which
great
was
fight. It just seemed like the writers just
Mhm.
forced a fight into this episode. Because we need a fight here. You know what I mean? So,
Well, it's the penultimate
yeah,
yeah.
the
Right.
episode.
penultimate
They wanted.
episode. I was gonna say that penultimate episode always got to hit something
Yeah.
big. Yeah.
Mhm. So, all right, let's get to the final episode because this is the good stuff. Because this was the best. Finally, where the final episode is the best episode. I don't. Have we had another one where we felt like the
Yeah.
final
Oh
Mando's
yeah,
episode?
Mando
Mando
season
season two. Yeah.
2. Yeah,
I felt that was the best emotionally, but I don't think that was the best episode
I thought
to
it
me.
was.
man, get out of here with that. It
Anyway,
was the best episode.
anyway, so this was a final episode, great episode.
Emotionally, but not the best. That's what these are meant to entertain you emotionally and intellectually. But go ahead.
It's well,
All right.
it's supposed
Anyway,
to like for us Gen X. It's supposed to hit us, there, right?
well, remember you guys freaked out that Luke Skywalker destroyed a bunch of robots. I didn't freak out over Luke Skywalker destroying a bunch of robots. So I had a difference of opinion about the totality of that episode.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, so where we're going for is in the escape jet, in the escape uh, starship. Vader gets on his ship after destroying, thinking, just leaving Riva not dead. Again, stop doing this. And flying off and chasing, and Obi-Wan realizes that Vader's going to chase him and not them.
By the way, real quick, and I don't want to get long winded on this one. Another shout out to O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s character, who shows his leadership skills on the ship. Like he
Yes.
knows they're in danger. He's trying to fix it, and he only tells us to Obi-Wan, and then he doesn't want Obi-Wan to go down there. He's like, dude, we're here to
Yeah,
protect
we'll
you, Joe.
figure it
I'm
out.
like,
Right.
I hope to see his character in another one of these because we're gonna get like 3, 4 more of these shows.
Oh
I
yeah,
love that
definitely.
about his
Hmm.
character. So
I
shout out on
wonder.
that.
I wonder if he'll show up in
Yeah, that would
Andor
be
or
nice.
anything.
Actually, that would be
Good
yeah,
one. That'd be
because
nice.
Andor is
Yeah,
supposed to
that'd
take
be
place
great.
before Rogue One as well, right? Well, obviously because he's dead
Yeah.
in Rogue One. Never
So
mind.
so yeah.
I forgot about that.
No, he didn't explode all the way, just like a saber. He only
He
exploded
only
halfway.
he took one reactor through the gut and he was fine.
He was
That's
fine.
right. He's gonna come back with some spider legs in a junkyard.
Some radiation. All right. So yeah,
All right.
Vader.
Anyway, so Obi-Wan, to save them, knowing what Vader will do, gets an escape pod to a local whatever planet they're on. I don't know. Thank God this does not happen on Tatooine. That would have been unforgivable. But intercut with all this, and in the last episode, something I did mention was um, flashbacks uh, to
Coruscant, yeah.
oh, to Coruscant with Obi-Wan and live in the flesh, Anakin Skywalker, not quite de-aged. A little bit of makeup, but not quite de-aged. But anyway, it worked
Yeah, it
for
worked for
me.
me as well. Yeah.
And a great flashback at that. It was a wonderful scene, intercut with what's going on in the present. Um, I think it was much better use than we've seen in some of the other series, but it really did work for me, and I thought the writing and the acting in that flashback was really top notch. What do you guys think of the
That
flashback?
that really hit the feels for me because sorry, Mike. Because what I like most about the prequels, don't tell me about the Senate hearings and the trade federations,
This is how
is
democracy
really
dies.
is really Kenobi and Hayden Christensen's chemistry and dynamic as master and
Yeah,
apprentice
even with some of the
throughout
shitty
Attack of the
writing, shitty
Clones.
lines they had, it was still going
Yeah,
off.
yeah, and they're terrible. Even when they're like flying in Attack of the
Yeah,
Clones, like buzz droids are everywhere, trash. But the conversation they're having, Anakin, oh, you say, like the conversation between the two
yeah,
of them, always compelled me to enjoy the
right.
prequels. Like if the prequels is on right now, Attack of the Clones is on right now. Depending on what moment of we are in a movie, I'll watch. If these two are talking, you know,
Eh,
I'll watch it. So great to see that the fact that the show took us back to these two at a younger age, because clearly you can see a little rat tail. He's a
mm-hmm.
Padawan still. It was
Mhm.
before Revenge of the Sith, and yeah, I love watching it. I'm glad that I told you guys in text. I'm probably one of the few that were happy that they didn't de-age him to make him look
I
like
didn't want to see the
Yeah, no, I was
plasticky
fine with
flat
that
like
too.
look.
I was
the
happy about that. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. I was
It
happy with
let it
that.
let him act facially,
right.
which was I was like, hey, this guy can act a little bit better than I remember seeing him as this character.
And my last thought on that scene is it showed you that scene wasn't just a throwaway scene to get you feeling nostalgic. There was a
Yep.
lesson in there about
Mm-hmm.
Anakin's ability to be blinded
Wanting to
by
win. Yeah.
lust and
Yep.
passion and
Hmm.
wanting to win,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which plays into his downfall ultimately anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right. So let's get to the meat and potatoes here, and that is Anakin or Vader versus Obi-Wan 2. This time, Obi-Wan remembers how to use the Force, and
Rocky too.
Rocky 2.
This
Uh,
time is personal.
so I think the design. I know it was dark, but I thought the design of this battle, the location, the context, the flashbacks,
The
everything
music,
yeah.
about it, the design of the lightsaber battle, the design of the use of the Force, the blocking, all of it worked for me. Every piece of it.
choreography.
Yeah, the choreography was good. I didn't feel like I I could see the okay. How do we get from episode 3, the flipping, the backflips, the flying, the blah blah blah, to episode 4 with standing still, one arm,
Fencing.
fencing.
Yeah.
Okay, what's in between that? Not it's a little closer to episode 3 than it is to 4, and so we kind of, found a midpoint where they were still active, they were still aggressive, but they weren't doing too much. So what did you guys think of the
So real quick, and I keep cutting Mike off here. So because I'm probably the most astute from the books and the
Mm-hmm.
animated show. So Form 4 is the fighting style that Obi Wan uses, which is one of the better ones out of the
Yeah.
7 forms of saber fighting. So when his opening stance, and he goes in and is like, "I'll do what I must." Again, a line from, and then you see like usually it's a more defensive parry
Mm-hmm.
approach, like you'll see in New Hope, and you might have seen in Revenge of the Sith. But in this particular fighting scene, he's on the attack a lot more often. So when I watched it for the first time without knowing anything, I'm thinking, is he like letting some sort of dark side into him because he's like conflicted about this, like because this is not typical Obi Wan. And then Vader comes back on the attack, and then all of a sudden he flips his fighting style to now he's parrying, but he's still parrying with force. And then the music is crescendoing. So they're at a stalemate, and then they cut to like the whack ass Reva chasing. We can skip this part,
Oh god.
and then they come back, and it feels like, because the reason why I bring this up, fast forward 6 years from now, when in Star Wars Rebels, when Darth Maul returns at
Yes, I was just
Tatooine,
gonna mention that too. Yeah,
and Obi Wan style, he
he
starts with the same
starts. Yep.
position, but then he switches to where we know it from A New Hope,
Yes.
and it takes him out in like 2 blows.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this, again, maybe I'm giving the writers too much credit, and because this the writer for this episode was different from the previous episodes. So I'm thinking they're trying to show you the transition of Obi Wan's fighting style to where we'll know it's going to be. It
Mhm.
worked for me. Maybe I'm reading too deep into it, but I analyze it that much. I must have seen like 20 times already, like that whole fight
Right.
sequence.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I'm
Mike.
with you there. I was gonna say the same thing about the transition in fighting style, what that we saw in Rebels. So I mean, it worked for me. I was the only thing I was sad about was when Obi Wan was in the ditch and Anakin was at the top, but he didn't say he had the high ground. So
Oh, I was waiting for
Dude,
it.
that would have
I
been
was
too
waiting
meta.
for
I
it.
have the high ground
yeah,
now, sucker.
yeah. So, but I love that whole sequence, and I love the when he got slashed in the face, and the combination of the voices with Hayden and James Earl Jones mixing
Oh,
through.
that was
Yeah, so well
amazing.
done.
That was an
Yeah.
amazing part.
The red and blue color,
Yes.
his eye color
Yes.
going from Sith to Hayden Christensen's color.
Yep. That whole sequence, so well done.
Yeah, they did that, and that's where having things lit by the sabers allowed for a certain moods to change and adjust.
Mm,
You know, and especially in that scene. So after Obi-Wan does his sand through the rocks, and then comes out, swinging. He comes out swinging, knocks Vader back, starts
Force.
kung force shooting,
Yeah.
Hadoukening the rocks at him, and then like jumps off the rock, comes down on his head. It was good, and then he goes. I don't know. What did you guys think of the line where he goes, Obi Wan, you didn't kill Anakin, I
yeah, it
did, or
was.
or it was something
Yeah,
to that effect.
you didn't kill me. I
It
killed. Yeah,
wasn't
I
you who
did.
killed
Yeah.
You didn't
Anakin. I
kill
killed
him. I
Anakin.
killed
And
Anakin.
then he goes, so Anakin is truly dead. So
Something
I
I'm not your failure. Something Anakin's not your failure. Say something like that. Yeah.
yeah, and I wasn't sure how that was playing with me because I'm like, is he letting Obi-Wan off the hook? Is just a weird is
I
he
think there's a
what does he want
combination of
Anakin?
things that were happening there. I think two things. One is, to your point, that I think he senses that Obi-Wan feels like he ultimately was the reason why he became Vader and turned to the dark side.
Mhm.
And when he hears Hayden Christensen's voice, I think he's trying to tell him, no, you had nothing to do with who I am now. I made who I am now.
Mm,
On the super meta side, I think the writers are trying to bridge the gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Because in A New Hope, when they meet again on the Death Star, he goes, when last I saw you, I
Mhm.
was the learner and you were the master.
Right.
And then Obi-Wan calls him Darth, which he calls him Darth in this episode too. I think the writers are trying to bridge that between the two, but I think within the story, the character of Anakin was trying to let Obi-Wan know, no, you're not taking any blame for this. This is me. This is who I really am. I made it myself. That's what I think on it.
You're That's a good point because it does give Obi-Wan the opening to call him Darth instead of Anakin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
It
the
it
one
it's
the one
because
theory that they did it so that because in A New Hope he tells Luke, Anakin, Darth Vader betrayed and murdered your father, right?
Yes. 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 Forgot about that one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which again
they're
is according to
connecting the
what?
yeah.
dots.
Yeah, they're connecting the dots
So
in a nice way.
All
In a
right,
nice way.
all right. So this was definitely a high point for the series. I thought it was well done, top to bottom. And yes, we did have to intercut Riva chasing uh, Luke and uh, Uncle Owen and Brew, going sniper on her, not quite being able to hold up to
And
a force
clumsy
user.
Luke. I think he knocked himself, right? Yeah.
No, she like force pulled him and he rolled down the
something like
rocks.
that.
Yeah, went unconscious.
It
Yeah.
was again they're having the bad guy chase 10-year-olds. It just doesn't. It's not a good look. It's not. It's not. It doesn't make her a scary villain. And I know she's supposed to come back around at the end, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing, what did you guys think of ending on a Qui-Gon ghost, Force ghost?
Well, I
I
was
loved
waiting
it.
for him the whole series. I knew he was going to show up somewhere.
Yeah. Honestly,
I
I
liked
don't
Obi-Wan
know.
calling for him and not getting
Yeah,
him at first.
I still don't know how I feel about it. Like I don't hate it. I don't love it as much as I thought I would love it.
but it
It
was,
was nice seeing Liam Neeson.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also not de-aged. um, Also Birth of a Thousand memes with him too. um,
But his throughout the series, it was almost like that was Obi Wan's "talk to me, goose" kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved it better when when Vader was force burying him,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's going through visions, and then Qui Gon reached out to him
Right.
and said something
Oh yeah, just the
inspirational. Just
voice.
a voice, like you don't
Yeah.
see the ghost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That would have been a cool place to start it. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then you
like
could
you don't
see
see him, you
further.
just hear he whispers something
I imagine though.
But
from the pre.
Yeah, I imagine though if we have a season two, we'll probably see more of him now. Yeah.
oh
All right,
man,
we're gonna grade this
yeah,
thing or what?
Yeah,
yeah. Let's grade it. Mike, what do you have here?
Yeah. So I had a couple of issues with the middle of the series. The It was bringing the grade down a bit, but that episode 6 brought it back up. So I'm gonna give it a solid B for this season.
Okay, James.
I'm with Count Dooku over there. The middle episodes really lowered what I could have probably given like an A minus, but because of the middle episodes and how I did not like those episodes, I'm going to solid B.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't the episodes, but some characters just kept it really high, and some characterizations just didn't live up to what they should have been. Um, I didn't mind the Leia running away or being a kid. I didn't mind that. I thought that was fine. But again, it's mostly about the Inquisitors and that stuff that brought it down for me. I was gonna say, I think I'm gonna go with a B minus. It's weird. Like I want to give it higher. Maybe I should give it higher, but like I wasn't excited until the last battle. Like that was it. Like that was the one that was like, oh yeah, that's really great. That really drawing me in
This is
and
why
the
I like Star
flashbacks and
Wars.
everything. Yeah, exactly. I wish there was a bit more there. I wish there was a bit more space for some of these The
Oh, shout out
storyline's
to Ian
still really
McDermott
cool.
making that small little
Oh
cameo
yes.
to Vader. And then they finally played the Imperial March. Another quick little
Right.
cameo shout out. They threw everything at us that last
I know,
episode. And I'm
man.
Yeah.
like, Jesus.
But yeah, it's mostly Ewan McGregor. Just great character, great acting, doing everything he can on
Yeah,
this
man.
series.
Finals
And
MVP.
yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. That's Obi-Wan. What's next? What's our next
Stranger
series? It's a
Things, my friend. Stranger Things.
Volume 2.
oh, we're gonna do Stranger
Yep.
Things again. I mean, what's the next Star Wars series? Is it
Andor.
Andor?
Yeah, it's before Ahsoka.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Oh my god, I'm telling you, Ahsoka. Uh, I'm worried about it.
Uh-oh.
I don't foresee great things.
I'm,
But
I'm
you
looking
guys can
forward
tell me
more
I'm
to
wrong.
that than Andor, to tell you the truth, because I'm looking forward to
Same.
seeing some of the Rebels cast come back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
I want to
We'll
see
see what
Ezra, and I want to
what they
see
come out with.
Kanan's Force Ghost, played by Freddie Prinze Jr. So.
I want
Yeah.
to see some consistency. Give me Mandalorian season 1, which felt really characters felt the character felt connected through the entire
I want to
series.
see Taika Waititi rumored Star Wars movie. That's what I want to see
Mm.
Yeah.
as well. Forget the TV. TV shows are great, but I want to see a live action movie that brings me back. I haven't been enjoyed since Rogue One. I haven't enjoyed a Star Wars live action movie.
I can't say the same. I've
I
enjoyed some
we
things.
know we know what your allegiance is.
Yeah, I know. I'm the only one with taste here. All right, everybody.
All right. Meanwhile, everybody, listen.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
If you want to check us out,
Where can they
yeah.
join us?
All right. If you want to check us out, we're at Heroes Peak on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that bell in the corner to get notifications when we post new videos, and leave a comment below.
Please leave a comment, whether you like or dislike. Say whatever you want to say. Leave a comment.
Say what you want to say. All right.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see you next week when we do the final season 4 of Stranger Things. Right?
Volume
It's the
2.
last 2 episodes.
Volume 2.
So we'll be getting that
All right.
out
All
later.
right.
Hey, Indigo made the beat.